Okay, it's been a while since I've done this, but after the events that happened a couple weeks ago at the Capitol, I figured that I would weigh in and just say what I thought about what's unfolded since, what I think people should be doing, and where we go from here. So, obviously, what Trump did is pretty clearly the incitement of an insurrection. I don't think anyone really disagrees with that at this point. Um, what he did was so dangerous, and it was so obvious that what he was saying was egging them on, constantly talking about the election's fake, it was rigged, it was stolen, um, refusing to concede, calling the Secretary of State of Georgia, asking him to find 11,000 more votes. Like creepy, creepy stuff. Stuff you don't want to be seeing from any elected official, let alone the President of the United States. Very scary stuff. So, when the riot happened at the Capitol, it was almost inevitable, right? Like something was bound to happen. And so we're left in this unprecedented time where we have the president leaving in just a week now, and the incoming President elect Biden coming in. And we're like, what do we do with Trump? That everyone kind of understands that there needs to be consequences, but I don't think anyone really knows where to go about it. The House tried to get Mike Pence to invoke the 25th Amendment and have Trump removed from office by a vote from the cabinet to deem him mentally unfit. The entire House voted to have Pence do that. Pence said no. And I think that would have been a flimsy way to get Trump out of office to begin with. I don't think that was the right way to go about it because the argument that he's mentally unfit is so difficult to make. You can't just deem anyone mentally unfit. Like, that's such a difficult thing to say. And the amendment was mostly designed for if the president was like literally mentally incapacitated or physically incapacitated, where he like literally physically could not do the job, like if he was unconscious or going through a medical procedure or something like that, or if he developed like Alzheimer's or something like that. So I don't think that was the right way to go about it. So the next thing they're doing is impeachment. The House voted to impeach him. So now Trump is the only president to be impeached two times. So I have a lot of thoughts on the impeachment thing. I think that was also the wrong way to go about it. And here's why. Most people are going to see impeaching the president when he's got a week left in office as mostly just for show. They're not going to take it seriously. They're not going to see it as the statement of force that the Democrats and many Republicans want it to be. They're not going to see it that way. They're going to see it as political theater. They're going to see it as petty, even. Like, it's pointless to impeach the president after a week before he leaves office. Now, I do acknowledge that there are pros to it. If you impeach and convict the president, he loses a lot of his post presidency benefits. Like, he would lose his Secret Service detail. He would lose a lot of post presidency funding. He wouldn't be able to set up like one of those BS presidential foundations or whatever, which he would then inevitably use for more corruption. So there are benefits to impeaching him. I still just think, like, based on how the public would react to it, especially the possibility of more Trump induced violence based on it, I think that's a really bad way to go about it. So, what do we do? We acknowledge that there need to be consequences. The things that the Democrats are doing don't really work, and they're not going to actually serve the needs of what this moment begs. So, what do you do? Well, I look to the 14th Amendment, Section 3. 14th Amendment obviously was written just after the Civil War, and it was designed, Section 3 specifically was designed as a means of punishment for elected officials and military officials that participated in insurrection. So the text of it says something along the lines of anyone who participates in an insurrection or aids or compresses the spirit of that insurrection should be barred from holding public office. This is literally designed for the moment we're in. That's literally what Trump did, but not just Trump. Ted Cruz, Josh Hawley, and something like 140 House Republicans. This amendment could be used to ban all of them from holding public office in the future. I think that's what Democrats should be doing. I think they should be immediately putting impeachment aside and pursuing the 14th Amendment, Section 3. It's literally written for this type of action. Now, why do I think they're going about impeachment? I think it's mostly for political theater. I and the public perception of it is true in a lot of cases. I think Democrats are trying to use it for fundraising. I think they're anticipating a Biden presidency being mostly ineffectual, trying to compromise with Republicans wherever he can, negotiating his way down to eventually just doing Republican policy, like the same stuff that Obama did. It's going to be a largely ineffectual presidency. I think Democrats know that, and they're using this one to rile up their base and hopefully, in their minds, to lead a fundraising campaign to make a heck of a lot of money fundraising off of the impeachment. I think that their focus being on fundraising and on show and on theater is really really sad, and it just shows, excuse me, yet again that elected Democrats are fundamentally incapable of finding the right solutions to meet the moments that we're in. And as we leave the Trump era, it's incredibly important for them to go forward and present the country with a new and competing vision and ideology. If they don't, we run the risk of either Trump coming back, which is unacceptable. We cannot allow him to run in 2024. He is far too divisive and damaging to the country. We cannot allow that. We have seen what he's festered and what he's created, and that cannot be allowed to persist. And we all agree on that. But Democrats are not taking that seriously. And they're leaving open the door for the possibility of, if not Trump running again, someone else possibly worse and more competent, like a Senator Tom Cotton, the guy who wrote the op-ed over the last summer, arguing for the U.S. military to go in and violently stop the protests, the Black Lives Matter protests. Someone like him running for office and winning. That's what they're leaving the door open to. That terrifies me. So, like I said, it's just a quick video. Wanted to get my thoughts out. As always, let me know what you think. Leave your thoughts in the comments. Agree or disagree. Hope you enjoy this video. Thanks.